front, up front. Young man, up front. Come on. Leaders sit in the front, never sit in the back. Always take your seat in the front. Walk like you belong. So good afternoon. My name is Jeffrey Eaton. I'm president of the NAACP Mid-Manhattan branch, and technology is one of our more important things that we're working on across the nation. And on behalf of the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, I want to greet all of you to this tech meetup and annual technology conference. We have some really great presenters. They're going to share their knowledge of what the new global economy is going to be like, what it is like now. It's the fastest growing industry in the world, and everything is run by it now. You can't even live without a phone. You leave your phone home, you say, oh man, what happened? I got to go home and get my phone, right? So I want to say that on August 1st, we had a technology meetup on the Intrepid Sea and Airspace Museum, where close to 300 young people took part in a conference and hackathon. It was an amazing day, and one of the fellows is right here. Tell me your name again. Hans, but he'll be acknowledged by Clayton. I want to take all of Clayton's stuff here, but Hans did a terrific job. We had some winners, and they'll talk about that in their presentation, but it was really a great day on the Intrepid. We got a chance to bring our community downtown, you know, get them out of the block and get them on the boat. And it was Science Week on the Intrepid, and it was the first day. And it was just an amazing transformation for me to see our young people so engaged in the technology and so focused, so focused. And one of the reasons why is because a guy named Clayton Banks, who was the co-founder and president and executive producer of Silicon Harlem. The mission of Silicon Harlem is to transform Harlem and other urban markets into innovation and technology hubs. So let me just get right to it and bring up my good friend, my cigar-smoking pal, Clayton Banks. Give him a round of applause. Who's going to introduce our moderator for today and give us our mission and purpose of the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce Technology Initiative. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff Eaton. If you don't know Jeff Eaton, you definitely have not been in Harlem. Jeff Eaton is ubiquitous. He's everywhere and does everything. And if you didn't know, he was formerly the chief of staff for our great Congressman Rangel. So I owe a debt to Jeffrey for being so loyal to Silicon Harlem and certainly loyal to our community. So it's always great when he is able to be in the same room with me. More great for him than me, but that's a different story. I also want to thank all of you who've come. I think you probably, maybe, perhaps, in this room is perhaps one of the greatest panels ever assembled when it comes to technology, at least for today. It's the greatest panel ever. And I'm so lucky to be a part of it, a part of what's happening today. I want to quickly thank the Greater Harlem Chamber of Commerce, in which I serve as a board member, but I really appreciate the way they have embraced technology as a way to drive the community, the way they've embraced technology to ensure that our young folks, as well as senior citizens, so it's an intergenerational movement, have the tools, the skills that they need in order to move themselves forward. That's our entire focus at Silicon Harlem, is how do we continue to move our community forward. So it's a great honor to be a part of that. And one of my partners in crime is sitting in the audience, which is Marco. You guys heard his name earlier at the luncheon, for those of you who were at the luncheon, but Marco and I put together the hackathon that Jeffrey just talked about, but we've done a few things over the years together, and it's always a great pleasure to have him. Wave your hand, Marco, so everybody knows who you are. I also want to acknowledge some of my colleagues that work at Silicon Harlem, which is really a great pleasure for me to have them in the audience. We have back there, who's also a Columbia grad himself, Anthony Sanford, that guy right there in the pink. What he's doing, he's actually, we're putting a resilient network in East Harlem right now, and Anthony is leading that effort. So very excited about that. I also have Hans and Nick with me, who are sitting up front. Both of you guys stand up. Nick is our community engineer, and Hans handles all our digital work. So very honored to have them join me here today. I'm just going to say a quick few words and get out of the way and let this unbelievable panel, really, I mean, I can't say enough about these extraordinary leaders, you know, at least today. So, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention Mr. Lloyd Williams, who you guys have all heard about, and the great work he's done in Harlem, and his support of Silicon Harlem and of me personally. He's a good friend and a good mentor, and I really appreciate all that he's doing for our community. And finally, just thank Columbia University for hosting us, all the organizers and volunteers. If you're looking for a snack, you can go back to that table. You can't get it yourself, you gotta let them serve you. Okay, so let me move on. I wanted to quickly talk about this topic today, and just from my perspective. When we talk about economic engines and 21st century and really the word technology, I'm fascinated by what I sometimes call, you know, babble. Right, Rev? I mean, the word babble, which means we're all saying the word technology, but do we really know what that means? Have we really figured out how it's applied? And that's an important thing to me, is that we don't want to miseducate ourselves or our children or anyone in our community. I want to make sure that we have a great understanding of what technology really is. By the way, technology is not science. Some of us walk around and talk about STEM. STEM, 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 STEAM. I'm down with it. Trust me, I'm down with it. I actually can teach in all 4 disciplines. But the question is, when you say STEM, what are you really saying? How many of you are really doing science that's in STEM? Real science. Doing real engineering in that phrase STEM, which stands for science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. How many of you are, who can tell me 50 times 60 right now? I mean, you know, that kind of stuff. What I'm saying is, let's really understand what technology is all about, because it really is about improving the quality of our lives. That's really the essence of it, in my opinion, is that we're trying to use technology to make life better. There's a reason why this panel will talk about their great innovations, hardware, software, et cetera. But all of it comes from really one key source: people. People make technology work. Technology doesn't make people work. Technology assists us. The other thing about technology is that there's a diversity in technology. All technology is not necessarily the same. There's what's called communication technology. When you all are, half of you right now are on your phones. You're not looking directly at me, but that's okay, because you're probably tweeting. And I love that if you can get a signal here. So, I'm sorry, Columbia, I didn't mean to say that. But you understand, you have to understand that there's a difference between communication technology and what we call assistive technology, right? Assistive technology, those with disabilities, the type of new technologies that are addressing those issues in that market. There's a difference between assistive technology and educational technology, or business technology, or even construction technology. So when we use these terms, if we want to serve our community well, we have to really understand what they mean and how they can affect our quality of life. And it really starts with my second thing. I have 5 things I'm trying to get across here. I actually call it the things you should consider when using technology. One of the things that we have to always understand is technology is evolving, right? So, and the reason why it's evolving is because human beings are evolving. You know, how many of you have taken a camera into a photo studio to get your pictures developed? Recently. Yeah, back in the day. Back in the day. Yeah, you're a photographer. Okay, so what I'm saying, though, is Technology evolves, we evolve, technology evolves. When I was working in the cable industry, I was proud that me and my team were the first team to create an all-digital network called Sega Channel. And when we created it, it was because we saw a need for young people who loved video games but didn't have a way to get a plethora of them for a reasonable cost. So we decided to try to solve that problem by putting up a bunch of games and let you have a monthly subscription just like there is today. And, but it was all through a cable connection. What was really interesting about that was when we developed it, having a digital signal come from a satellite into what we call a head end that then serves it out to the community, we didn't have the tools to measure the signal. The technology had not been built. The technology didn't build our system. We had to build the tools to help us build our system. And I just want to continue to emphasize that because it's so important that technology is evolving, we are evolving. I always say we have a great company inside of our WeWork. Right, Lil, Dr. Lil? We have a great company inside of our WeWork, and one of them is called Start Small, Think Big. That's the field that's been leveled here with technology and certainly with the internet. You know, back in the industrial age, you know, to compete against the big guys, you had to have a lot of money, you know, because you were buying big machinery, a lot of stuff, so the young or small companies couldn't compete. Nowadays, you can compete with HBO. 2 people can compete with HBO. Look what Facebook has done. Facebook, maybe 10,000 employees. IBM with hundreds of thousands of employees, and they're bigger. So you can compete with the big guys now using technology, and that's something I think is also we have to understand is that it's about problem solving. I don't want to make that a small issue. It's one thing to just dream, but it's another thing to dream trying to fill a gap. That's why we have electricity. That's why we have trains. Somebody said, why is there so many cars on the ground? Why is traffic so thick? Well, let's create a tube and put a bunch of people in it and make it happen. So technology is our tools. They are our tools to do great things, and then sometimes you have to actually create new tools to make great things. I wanted to share with you just one parting thing on this, and then I want to quickly go through what the Chamber is doing about this. So I also believe that technology, both people-driven as well as what technology's been able to inspire, is almost a new way that we're communicating. There's a new way that we're speaking to each other. There's a new way that we're being heard. And as you think about that, there's opportunity in that. Sure, technology can also be used for evil, but in the use of these tools and skills that we have at our disposal now, we're actually having a whole new way of communicating. But what that means is perhaps our educational system has to be addressed as it relates to that. We just taught, me and my co-founder who just walked in, Bruce Lincoln. If you don't know Bruce Lincoln, there he is right there. So Bruce was around when the light bulb was invented. But the point is that we had 21 high school kids in our summer program. We taught them all how to build a complete video game. So they are now proficient in coding a video game. They're not playing the game. They're making the game. All right, so and that was big for us because when you sit down with these 21 kids, they have cell phones too. And half the time they want to look at them and communicate with them. But I, as the lead instructor, I don't have no problem with that. If I'm not capturing their attention, it's my fault, not theirs. So I have to capture their attention, but I also realize that half of their learning comes from what their tools are in front of them. So we might have to rethink our educational system. I'm not suggesting everybody ought to have a phone inside the classroom, but I am suggesting that there's new ways that we talk and there's new ways that we hear. That's a digital literacy issue for everybody. I want to quickly go through, and let me just, actually let me say this. I want to double underline the fact that at the end of the day, no matter what your technological dream is or what you're hoping that will happen, if you don't consider the community or the people, I don't think you'll get very far. One of the things that Silicon Harlem tries to do is we focus right within the community, right within the people, and then we start to think about the technological advances that we need to sort of help promote. Versus a typical company that has technology and wants to force it into the community. We reverse that action, and we're very clear about that, and it's working in our estimation. So let me quickly go by the Chamber's 10-point technology initiative, which is focused on, at least these next 10 years, clearly and squarely on digital literacy. So if you follow me, economic growth and social impact is definitely being impacted across the board when it comes to technology. We're looking at our small business owners, obviously, as a great way to help scale our community. These businesses, a lot of them that have been traditionally around, still need a lot of help, whether it's online or with mobile or with their platform. So we're going to all have to be a part of that. We think about this in terms of 10 quick things. So computational thinking, that's the essence of problem solving, computational thinking. Breaking down a problem into small pieces, solving those problems, finding those algorithms, and repeating the process. So teaching, it's actually a teachable skill. Accessibility, you know, it's really important that we bring up literacy from just the ability to just understand what you're doing. It's one thing to go on a Facebook. It's another one when you have to figure out your medicine through a hospital. So we want to increase that accessibility. I always say data is king. When I was in Viacom, I worked for Sumner Redstone, who was the original guy who quoted content is king. I believe that too, but data is king in 21st century. The more data you have, the better decisions you make. And content without data, frankly, is clutter. That's right, tweet that. Content without data is clutter. We want everyone to understand the cloud. You guys hear the cloud, 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 cloud. My computer is almost completely stripped down. Everything I do is in the cloud. I basically, what you're paying for when you buy a computer now is all that hard drive and processing power. Well, frankly, as we see with blockchain and other types of democratization technologies, it's not about what you have, it's about what you can share. And what I do with the cloud is allow me to be free from being tethered to my computer. I can actually be on any computer and operate, and I have. I think a part of their initiative is to focus on the targets, you know, and also to personalize the experience for people. We all are not the same. Is that Tim Britton I see in the audience? Oh my God, talk about people you go back a long way with. He and I went to prehistoric school together. Security. You guys all know how big of a topic this is. Cybersecurity, security in general, protecting yourself. That's an important piece of digital literacy. So the Chamber is dead set on helping to protect all of us and our companies and ourselves. This is no longer just about us. This is a global economy. I had the great pleasure of traveling with Lloyd to Panama City, to Cuba. We're going all over the world to make the kind of connections because we can no longer be isolated. We've got to be connected in order to maximize the technologies that are at our disposal. Wearables, you guys hear a lot about this. Well, you know, I got a friend that's developed a wearable that you put on your shirt or coat or whatever, and it detects UV rays, right? Who does that help? That helps people with lupus. Who's affected by lupus more than anyone? African American women. Wearables are essential, not just fun, they can save your life. Robots, these are not just walking robots like I used to do back in the day. The robots are all types of robots. Robots are really synonymous with, in a lot of ways, artificial intelligence. Everything's smart. You don't go up to a booth anymore to even buy an NMTA card. You go to a machine that's built with AI into it and going through turnstiles or going through a toll road. AI is everywhere. And you ought to bone up on AI, artificial intelligence in general, because it's a $22 trillion business, essentially, coming soon. Finally, video and live streaming. I put that in here because, heck, I love television. I really do. And I think it's important for us as developers, as technologists, to think about next generation entertainment. What's coming? And that's where Silicon Harlem is in general, and I'm happy to have the Chamber think about this, is how do we leapfrog technology? One of the things that I've been concerned about in communities, urban markets particularly, and inner cities, is that we sometimes trail behind in technology. You know, when the Link NYC kiosks came out, if you guys see those on the corners of throughout the city, we went, before they were even built, Silicon Harlem went and testified to the mayor, testified to the city council on behalf of Link NYC, the company's called Intersection. Because we thought, given the lack of broadband that we have in Upper Manhattan, those things could help with some of our community. As a result of us, being at the table, Harlem has more Link NYCs than any other part of the city. That's for real. And first, so it wasn't trailing. We have to do that type of activity in all of these things. So we're trying to always look to leapfrog technology, whether it's through broadband, whether it's through digital literacy, whether through hardware or software. It's really important that we as a company, and I think it's important for each of you in this room, no matter what you're doing or who you are, you ought to be thinking, what's next? Let me finish by saying our conference is October 27th, so please mark that date down, October 27th. This is our 4th year. The theme is called Community Forward. Hello? Everybody hear me? Yeah. Community Forward. That means, what are you doing to move the community forward? Your community, no matter what community you belong in. Or what would you like to be doing? And we're going to be sharing a lot of insights. We already have the CTO of New York City coming to be a speaker. We've got people from the FCC. We've got people all throughout the political spectrum, the private sector, Microsoft, Google, everyone's on board. You are not going to want to miss this conference. It's going to be extraordinary. And it's our 4th year. Every year is extraordinary, but I have a feeling this one's going to be extra special. I'm going to finally say and introduce this panel. I want to thank you guys for listening to me. I didn't put my preacher thing on, but next time. But thank you. Let me end with that by saying thank you. And let me go ahead and transition. So we have a distinguished, maybe perhaps the greatest panel ever assembled to discuss this topic, 21st century technology and its impact on our economy. And the only bio I have up here is mine. That's interesting. So we are, we're very honored to have them here, but I'm going to introduce the moderator, who will then introduce the panelists. And the moderator is no shrinking violet. He is the man, as they say, Michael M. Clay. He's the director of the are you interrupting me? No. What's the matter with you, man? No. Don't make me have to take this jacket off and all that stuff. Michael Clay is director of the Opportunity Programs Group for the Dormitory Authority of the State of New York. How do you say that? DASNY. Yeah. You got some fans up here. You got more fans than I got. What happened to that? Okay, that's nice. Yeah, I have 0. All right. I'm just going to read a couple lines here, and I'm going to bring them up. He facilitates and advocates for minority and women-owned business enterprises. Participation, so those are companies that do participate with DASNY. At DASNY, he also functions as an internal consultant on MWBE participation in construction, professional services, and financial professional services and commodity procurement. Located in the corporate headquarters in Albany, New York, Mr. Clay directs a staff of 17 professionals who focus on supplier diversity. Now, I'll just end with this. For 28 years, he's specialized. I didn't even know you were that old, man. And for 28 years, he's specialized in progressive, diverse management and small business development, MWBE compliance, affirmative or affirmation action, labor relations, purchasing, and contract administration. Please put your hands together for me. Oh, I'm sorry. For Mr. Clay.
Thank you, brother. Absolutely. Appreciate it. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you, Clayton, for those kind words. First of all, good afternoon, everybody. I know it's 3+. Let's get the energy pumping. We're hopefully going to bring you some information and engage you. So this isn't one of these that you sit back and listen to us for an hour
amble back upstairs. No, this is going to be some presentations, and then we're going to open it up for questions and hopefully some answers from the esteemed panel. This is about technology, and as Clayton has aptly said, the aim here is to talk about how in the 21st century technology can help grow your bottom line. Now, let's start off. How many entrepreneurs do we have in the room? Show of hands. Okay. Take note of that panel as we give our presentation. How many tech gurus do we have in the room? Techies. Okay. Equal number. So, what we're going to try to do is, and I'm not going to read bios of everybody. I'm going to allow these are big boys and big girls. They can talk about who they are, what they represent, and what they're doing. But first of all, the way this is going to work, we're going to have some presentations by all three of the panelists from the organizations that they represent. Okay, PowerPoints, go through it. Not a long one, 5 to 7, 8 minutes, around in there. Then we're going to come back, and now this is where it gets interesting. We're going to talk about technology as a 21st century engine. We're going to talk about hardware, because with the technology, what's key and happening today in technology is about the hardware, okay? And for you entrepreneurs, this is critical because you are being pressed to have the best bottom line that you can. Whatever product or service that you're offering to the state of New York, the city, the private sector, you're being told that your price has to be sharp. Well, one of the things that helps get your price and pricing sharp is your infrastructure. What does it take for you to deliver your product or service? And more importantly, can you deliver that product or service in a more effective and efficient manner, especially using social media, using technology? So our panelists are going to also talk about that particular aspect from their respective organizations and how you, because I'm always mindful of the roadmap. As an entrepreneur, you want to understand process. How do I do business with DASNY? How do I do business with the MTA? How do I do business with LDI? How do I do business with some of your corporate partners? Okay? Because I want you to walk away from here not with a perspective of what technology is in certain areas. I want you to walk away with the entrepreneurs in the room with the how-to. How do I connect with these organizations, and how do I leverage this information in order for me to move my business along? So, enough of me. First thing I'm going to do, we have 3 individuals. We have Ms. Carolyn Ortega from the MTA. We also have Scott Chalmers from First Data. And last but not least, we have Michael Gershfeld from LDI. So we're going to start off with Ms. Ortega, who's going to come up, go through her PowerPoint presentation. Will then be followed by Scott and Michael. Then also, when we get to the Q&A, please hold all your questions, because I'm your cruise director for this afternoon. Hold all your questions. If you have to write them on your hand, it's okay. Then we're going to open up for a robust Q&A. Ground rules are you must stand up. You must project yourself. If you are an entrepreneur, I want to know what you do, the name of your business. Okay? Then I want you to ask your question, and then the panel will endeavor to answer it. Okay? Let's get going. And use the mic. Okay. Sounds good. We'll start off with Carolyn. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, everyone. My name is Carolyn Ortega, and I work at the MTA. I'll tell you a little bit about myself. I've been in this business now for more than 25 years. I've got a PhD in computer science. I manage the applications team at the NTA, and we've got about 500 people in our group. We manage about 900 applications, and pretty much make the MTA run through these applications. So I'm going to talk a little bit about what we're doing at the MTA and how you can actually do business with us. All right, so So we'll go over a quick overview of what the MTA does, and then we'll talk a little bit about what we do in the Information Technology Services Department. And then I'll talk a little bit about some related, IT-related projects that we have. And then we'll talk about how you can do business with not only MTA IT, but also with the MTA in general. So the MTA is made up of actually several agencies that have been consolidated under one umbrella. We've got headquarters, we've got New York City Transit, we've got Metro North, Long Island Railroad, Bridges and Tunnels, MTA Bus, and Staten Island Rail and Transit. And we're managing rail, train, bus, and bridges and tunnels. And this isn't the full extent, because we also do capital construction, but I didn't put all of the entities up here. But we are North America's largest transportation network. We serve 15.3 million people spanning New York City, Long Island, New York State, and Connecticut. We have a daily ridership of more than 8 million people a day, and we employ close to 70,000 people. We have an operating budget of $15.1 billion. So there's lots of money for us to do business with entrepreneurs and with people in the community. So what are the services that the Information Technology Department provides? So in my group, we manage applications, we do development, we support applications, we manage databases and middleware. And to Michael's point, one of the major initiatives in my group, many of our applications were developed 20, 30, 15 years ago, 10 years ago, and even that's old now, 10 years ago. And we're going through a major transformation of taking many of these legacy applications and moving them into the cloud. So in some cases, they're being retired and we're developing new. In other cases, we're taking them, we're containerizing them, we're putting them onto the cloud platform, because there's a tremendous amount of savings in being able to move these applications into the cloud. We're kind of eliminating a lot of the infrastructure and taking advantage of a lot of the efficiencies that you get out of cloud technology. We also manage infrastructure, servers, storage, networks, operating systems. So the other bullets that you see here are really other teams. I manage the application development team. We provide desktop support, so that is all of the applications that kind of run on your desktops. We also provide operations support, which is our customer management center. We do monitoring, backups, and security, another really important topic in technology now. We have a security team that does monitoring against cyber attacks. They secure our information and data, and they also secure all of the operations and transactions that we perform. And then we have a governance, and that governance handles kind of project administration, along with determining kind of what the priorities are with the business in terms of the work that we do. So from the MTA IT perspective, if you have any sort of background in any of these areas and you would like to do business, we always have projects where we're augmenting our staff with consulting, or we're actually going out and we're partnering with other businesses to come in and to work with us, because we recognize that technologies, we don't always have the expertise internally, and we partner with businesses to come in to work with us to bring that technology in. So just a sample of some of the projects that we're working on. The Enterprise Asset Management Project. This is a $400 million project, and this project really is about taking all of our operational assets, so that is from trains, buses, bridges and tunnels, and we are bringing those assets into a massive system that will handle work order management, also sustainability for that equipment. We do predictive analysis from that equipment so that we can determine when it's time to do support on trains, on buses, on all of these various parts, and determine before it breaks, you know, how we can fix this equipment. And so the thought is that if you're able to keep this equipment up and running and you're able to maintain it and you can predict prior to its failure, when it's going to fail, you can get purchases in quickly. You can improve safety by making sure that you're doing your maintenance on time. You can save money by doing bulk orders of equipment when you need it for maintenance. Another major initiative is a new fair payment system. And so that will be a state-of-the-art payment system that will incorporate accounts across the MTA. So you will be able to use one account to go from rail to train to bus, to even bridges and tunnels. And so, you know, it's working with EasyPass and all of these other companies to try to merge into an account system where you create an account and then you can travel from, you know, from Connecticut all the way down to Brooklyn with one account, with one fare. Beacon technology. So that is a new technology that we're rolling out on the trains themselves. And what that does is this technology helps provide improved real-time data about train movement. So train arrivals into stations, train departures, locations of trains, things like this. This is, we're already rolling this out on a couple of the lines, the N line, the R line, and this will really improve the data that you see when you go into the trains and you see the countdown clocks and it tells you a train's going to arrive in 2 minutes, or, you know, there's a train 5 minutes away. And then we're working with lots of emerging technologies. So right now, I can tell you there are a couple of POCs that we're working on. One is with virtual reality, and we're trying to bring virtual reality into training and how we can train our maintenance workers who provide service on buses and trains using some of these new technology components like HoloLens, the Samsung Gear, and so on. And we're working with some groups that have user groups, virtual reality user groups that are partnering with us to do these POCs. In addition, we're working with ultra-wideband, and that one, it might be a little top secret, but we're coming out with a pilot to allow you to walk through the turnstiles with a key fob so that you won't be using the Metro card. So we're piloting that. We're going to be doing that at one of our stations, just one station first, and this will also coincide with the whole new fair payment system. So that would be, it would augment it. And then we have just standard kind of technologies, right? Like PeopleSoft. We have a massive PeopleSoft system. We're always looking for people there. It seems like we're always doing upgrades. Oracle has now come out with this new method for doing upgrades to these systems, and they're called PUM updates. And so it's like rolling updates. So every 3 months, we're updating these systems. So if you'd like to do business with MTA IT, you know, there are 3 simple ways to do this, right? One, we publish open source data for developers and entrepreneurs. So the open source data that we provide is around the train schedules and around the arrival times and departure times for those trains. And as I said, we're improving that data even more every day. We're also working on publishing more. I just came from a meeting this morning where we're talking about publishing construction information and a whole bunch of data that could supplement this data that we're publishing for developers and for people who do business analytics. Another opportunity would be providing your services through contracting, right? And I have another page that will show exactly how you do that. And then you could also apply for employment at the MTA. So we actually have a website on mta.info called Doing Business with the MTA. And so these are the various ways that you can work with the MTA to further your business. One, you can advertise on MetroCard. So if, you know, with the ridership that we have, 8 million people a day, if you want to put your logos on MetroCard for marketing and so on, you can do that. We also have contracting opportunities for disadvantaged, minority, and women-owned businesses. And if you go to any of these links here, you will be able to see the instructions on how you can work with the MTA. As I mentioned, we have developer resources, we have employment, we also have, which was news to me, the Small Business Development Program. So I think that would be definitely a site for many people here to take a look at. And the other great thing about this is, the MTA is a state agency, and while we're a state agency, there are many state agencies and city and local government that have very similar programs. So I would encourage you to go and check, some of the other websites to, sort of look for the contracting opportunities for disadvantaged minority and women-owned businesses. So with that, you can visit mta.info and get more information, and then, if you have more questions about what we're actually doing at the MTA technology-wise, I'd be happy to answer them with the panel. So thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. We're going to keep this going and ask Scott to come up from First Data to talk about his organization a little bit, and then following up will be Michael Gershfeld from LDI.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's an honor to be part of the greatest technical panel ever. I want to make sure my boss hears that. So what I wanted to do today was just take a few minutes to talk about a little more in general what technology is and where technology is in the industry. I am with First Data. If you're not familiar with First Data is I'll just simplify and break it down into two areas. We do payment processing. If you've used a credit card, on that behalf of First Data, thank you, because that's where we sit. If you're wondering what goes on behind the scenes, I will say that okay. When you talk about big systems, for the number of transactions at First Data, we don't talk millions, we talk billions of transactions. We're not talking billions of dollars, we're talking trillions of dollars go through our systems. So these are big systems. The other area which is very applicable for today is First Data is definitely a promoter of innovation and in supporting your entire business. So whether it's giving you the capabilities to build systems using our technologies, or it's partnering with us and grabbing software and using software that can run your entire business. First Data is a big player there. For myself, I've been now 10 years plus in the fintech industry, many, many more years than that overall. Too many to even mention. I've been in all areas of software, building, designing. My teams have done the same. The focus is always on how do we use technology to meet the current and future needs of business, how to sustain growth, and how do we promote growth through technology. When I meet with people, I always make sure we say up front, what is the goal of technology? It's to help you do what you do best and do it better. It's to do it in an integrated approach, and it's to use technology in all areas of your business. I'll get into a little more of that, but the bottom line is, what is technology? It's an enabler. Technology should be enabling your business. Technology is better today than it's ever been at enabling business. You'll see some examples, and I'll talk about why this is happening, but technology, that layer of, that kind of scares people, that's the intimidation layer that's there for technology, we've stripped that away a lot. Right now, you should be able to enable all functions, all areas of your business in an integrated approach, so that it's not you changing your business to technology. It's these solutions are now configurable so that you can change them and you can use them to the way you want to do business. I mentioned a lot of different areas here. I'm not going to go through them all. I'll talk about security a little later. I just want to mention analytics and strategy. When I mentioned the goal of business is not just to support what you do today, it's also what you do in the future. Companies, small business, entrepreneurs, when you set your strategies and you try to facilitate the strategic planning that you're doing, you need data, you need analytical tools to do that. Right now, technology is really enabling that. The ability to get the vast amounts of data and to use really advanced technological analytical tools. It's an area of the business that technology has been very successful at. So just to reiterate, it's not just your current functions in your business, it's trying to promote and enable what you do in the future. And how are we doing this? Why is it that hockey stick where right now we're enabling business better and better every day? The key word is integration. The definition of integration is seamless combination of technology, seamless being the key. We are able to put together components into service and application suites now better than ever that will facilitate all these different areas of business. Integration is, when I go way back into my career and we look at how are we going to get things to start working together, that was on the horizon, that was the goal. And right now, what I call the 2 layers of innovation. Right now, I don't want to pat ourselves on the back in the technological industry, but we've kind of got it. Integration now is a very achievable goal, and we're seeing that with things like cloud technologies, and if you're familiar with Amazon Web Services or web services, things like artificial intelligence, the ability to take technologies and put them together and to come up with bigger pieces that are going to provide real value. So I talk about the 2 layers. Is that bottom layer. This is the kind of the behind the curtain, the technology of integration itself. These are the standards and the best practice and the technologies that we use to build technologies on top of so that we can put them together. The real power in that is, and we'll talk about hardware and software, is no matter what the function, the channel, the location, or no matter what the device, you can run business at any level on your phone, your iPad, your workstation, your laptop. You can have business running internationally. You can sell internationally from a small facility. You could take advantage of that bottom layer, and that's what our top layer engineers are doing. And they're doing so faster and more, and they're coming up with solutions that are more powerful all the time. The software engineers, they rely on that low-level integration, and they deliver solutions faster. They do it on any device. And for companies like First Data, when we're looking at how we can provide real value to merchants or to our innovative partners, it's that level of integration that we're providing. And we'll talk more about that later, but that's, for me, because I've always been in that kind of level, it's real exciting to see how all of that's coming together right now, how integration is the key, and we're really delivering on that. Sure. So what's the benefit? Integration is a great word, but what does it mean to people who are trying to either innovate in the area of technology, run their business? It really means that no longer are you, if you have a small business and you're looking for solutions in a number of different areas, that you have to maybe go and talk to 5 or 6 different people. You should really be demanding now application suites. These are self-contained solutions that will provide value in all areas of your business. These are also technologies and solutions that are using best-in-breed technologies. Small business now has access to the same technologies that the leaders in the industry are using. They have access to the best and the fastest and the most, from an investment standpoint, the most optimal solutions. That you also look that there's vertical solutions. There are, like I said, there's no need anymore to have to transform your business into the software. It's the other way around. Everything is so configurable now, and you can find vertical solutions that are in your area of business. I mentioned security. Security always comes at the top of the list when you talk to people. What's your number one concern? Security is always up there. It's securing my own data, my customers' data. It's keeping the bad guys out. This is a great example where integration is really delivering. We've all heard about artificial intelligence and machine learning and neural networking and being able to take vast amounts of data and find patterns in it. That adaptive multi-layer security, those solutions are available to small and medium-sized businesses now and entrepreneurs because they're out there, they're able to integrate these solutions and take advantage of what companies at the forefront of the technology are doing. Security is just an example, but you can be looking for that in all those different types of solutions to run your business on. And what's the biggest benefit? It just goes without saying that technology right now, better than ever, is driving innovation and growth for innovators out there who want to be developing, for people who are looking how to engage with technology for their small business. You really need to be demanding these all-inclusive solutions to drive your entire business. So last slide, how do we do that? Or what should you be doing? The first sentence there kind of recaps what I said, but it's more so now more important to develop really strong relationships with the software providers that you have. It goes without saying you want to have a good relationship, but the more they know about your business, the more they can tailor that software to you, and the more they can provide real value to you. So when you talk about, like at First Data, we have our Clover solution, which is a all-encompassing point-of-sale hardware, software. It's a suite of applications. You develop really good relationships with the people. Let our people know what you're looking for, then they can tailor that to you. It kind of looks like, to me, I always think of it on your iPhone, all those apps that you download. That's what Clover is, the ability to download and to use applications just to run your entire business, from inventory management to ordering to selling, analytics to support your strategic and the tactical responses to your strategies. The more we know about what you're trying to do in your business, the better we are at providing those services. And just the tagline at the end, which I always tell people, is, you should be out there, take advantage of all the integration, take advantage of all that work that goes on at the bottom layer. Take advantage of the people like our solutionists that are at the top layer building these for you. Well, that's all I had. I couldn't say it better than that. All right. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott. I was just told that we are streaming live. And you just heard it. So we are streaming live. We now have Mike coming up, who's going to be talking, representing LDI, going through his presentation. And then now, after the CAN presentations, we'll get into specific conversations about technology and a little bit of hardware, and then Q&A.
While I set up, anyone in this room that's ever printed anything, please stand up. Stand up, stand up. I can't see hands. Stand up. If you've ever sent an email, sit back down. I just figured that's going to take less time than giving everybody a cup of coffee. It's been a long day for all of you, yes? So, yeah, I'm Michael Gershfeld. I am the Director of Sales for a technology company here in Midtown Manhattan called LDI. And we are basically technology integrators. So we believe that every one of you in this room could do better. Every one of our clients can do better, and everything that we do revolves around having you do better. So the bottom line is, let me get this up. I thought today would be interesting if I actually took you through, what's going on here, guys? Security alert. Security alert. All right, so we could do it without the PowerPoint. So the bottom line is, we believe that everyone in this room can do better, and the technology can help you do better. So everyone that spoke before me, I could have paid them all $20 to tee it up for me. They did a great job. So I wanted to talk to you a little bit about trends, what's happening out in the industry today, and kind of revolve it around a print environment, because that's one of the things that we do. So if I could have my PowerPoint, that would be better for everyone else. Beautiful. Technology, gotta love it. So to start with, I've got a couple of bullet points that are from some of the industry experts, independent consultants. So a few things you might not know. Companies are spending 1% to 3% of annual revenue on printing. That's a lot of money. If you incorporate the cost of document management and creating and storing and securing documents, it actually goes as high as 5%. That is a very, very big number. When we go in and we talk to people, 90% of the people we talk to have no idea what their costs are associated with print. And what is most interesting is, if we approach the MTA, they know what their lease payment is for their copiers. They might know what their annual spend is for toner for HP printers, but that's only the tip of the iceberg. The real costs are all below the surface. And this is similar to other things. It's not just print. So we're going to talk about print and just give you a little bit of an approach there. But understand that the presentation doesn't have to be about print. It could be about anything else. IT departments, 15% of IT budgets are dealing with printing, and 20 to 23% of the calls to help desks are all revolving around printers. That's a very big expense. So you heard some of the trends from my colleagues. I'm going to just go through them real quick. Scanning is really, really big. When I started in this industry, when copiers weren't even networked, they called them copiers. Then all of a sudden they started printing, and then IT departments started referring to them as printers. Guess what they're calling them now? That's right. They're calling them scanners. And what's most interesting, From my point of view, because I'm a service provider, the amount of copies that are being made are less and less every single year. What's driving the volume is all print. However, the feeders are getting tremendous amount of service, and that's because of scanning. So the manufacturers are all basically dealing with that issue. Let me go back. I inadvertently hit a button. So another one is this huge growth in mobility. Scott touched upon that as well. I mean, people are walking around with laptops and iPads and widgets and wadgets. And the thing that's beautiful about this is that the advent of the cloud is really enabling a lot of very powerful applications mobily. So when we're talking to clients, we're very interested in interoperability and a holistic view of a technology approach inside an enterprise. And it doesn't matter whether you're looking at print, screens, it makes no difference what you're doing. Everyone is talking about mobility, and security is always a big issue when it comes to that as well. The cloud is huge. The cloud is bringing just tremendous application capability and hopefully in better security than we can have on our own. And then you've got this idea of digital signage. So whether you're dealing with this, or if we have an interactive board, or if I have a network of screens that I'm pushing information to, or if I'm using the mobile device to communicate to you inside my enterprise, that is a very, very big trend, and it's actually been an explosive growth area for us. So the idea is you must have a strategy, and that's really the focus of my short presentation is here. You must have a strategy. You can't just go out and buy another printer. You can't just go out and buy another projector. You know, you need to look at this and have a strategy. So let's talk about that for a second. So there are really three legs to a strategy. You've got your infrastructure, you've got workflows, and then you've got the support associated with whatever it is we're talking about. So a couple of things about infrastructure. You heard a little bit about it already. You know, you've got all the things, all of those things, you know, servers, all of the endpoints on your network. You've got all of everything that you're dealing with from the physical world. That's your infrastructure. Workflows are what gets me excited. So I always get excited, not about selling you a new copier. I get excited about end-to-end solutions that actually make your people more productive or give you the ability to get your accounts payable more productive and get paid faster, you know, pay your invoices faster, whatever it is. I mean, the idea is to make you do better, and workflow is where that comes from. And then you've got, you know, the support. So if you don't keep the wheels on the bus, doesn't matter how much you invest in this, it's going to be a waste of money. So the idea is you got to have support, you got to have adaptability, you got to have people that are going to provide training. You got to make sure that whatever solution you put in place is going to actually be used so you can get a return on investment from it. So let's take it all. You know, you take these three things, you pull them together. Now you have a strategy, or